In this video, I am going to show you two alternative methods for implementing SaaS cancellation flows. Both of these methods that I describe here are 100% free, and they can be implemented by you for your product in about 15 minutes if you follow these instructions. Let's get started. The first method is based on Zapier. The starting point is the billing page of the application, where there's usually a cancel subscription button. Once users click that button, they'll be redirected to a Tally form in another page. And then when they submit that form, it will automatically trigger a Zapier workflow, which will notify you in any way that you want. Most commonly, this is either by creating an intercom ticket, sending a Slack message, or emailing support. All of this can be set up in a free Zapier account. All right, so the first step we need to take to implement this cancellation flow is to sign up to tally.so and create an account. I have just done that step, and it has created an empty account for me where I don't have any forms. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a form, and in this form, I'm going to call it Churn survey. And I can either press enter to continue with an empty form or start with a template. In my case, I'm going to start with a template. And that is because I know that there is a churn survey template that is very close to what I want. All right, this is good enough to get started. You would likely want to update your logo here. Maybe you can even change the title. You probably want to review what are the main cancellation reasons for your product, so you can then update them to add your own. You might have some additional conditional logic, but that might not be necessary in the first place. We're only lacking one thing here, which is you need to be able to identify who is the customer that is canceling. And so what you need to do is essentially to add a required field that asks for the email address. So let's do that. Let's create a block below this one. We'll also create a heading 3, which is just a question. What is your email address? And here we'll add the block for the email. All right, there it is. And you can see already that if we go here, we already see that it is required, and that's pretty good. Now, what we're going to do as well is we're going to edit this button, and we are going to call it complete cancellation. When we do this, now users understand that only when they actually submit this form do they complete the cancellation. What we're going to do as well is we're going to remove the thank you page. Well, we could leave it. It doesn't really matter, but just for the sake of our demonstration, we can remove it. You could add it if you wanted. All right, so now we go to publish, and we have published the survey. Let's copy the link here so we can see what that looks like. All right, that looks good. Why did you cancel your subscription? Not using enough. How do you rate your overall experience? How can you improve product? What is your email address? Complete cancellation. It has this small made with Tally button here, but that is pretty decent for what we want. All right, now this is still not good enough. Users would get here, and let's assume they would complete the form. But what we want is to make sure that we connect this with Zapier. So we need to go to integrations, click connect, and then click here, connect Tally to 5,000 apps. You see that I'm already logged in here in my account. So you might have a prompt to log in here, but as soon as you click this button, it will automatically create a new Zapier workflow where you'll be asked to create the Zap. And I am under a free Zapier account here, so this should be all doable under a free account. Let me call this a cancellation flow Zap. And let me first connect Tally. So Tally, although it's already pre-selected here, I need to choose the event, and the event is new submission. All right, continue. And the form, we'll call this form the churn survey because it's the name that we gave it. And continue. It will test the trigger. All right, it went well. And now the action. Now this is the step where you can actually choose what you would prefer to connect it with. The examples that we saw before are the intercom, Slack, or email. For our purposes, I'll just use Slack. I know that my Slack account is already connected here. So I will just say send direct message. And what I'm what I'm thinking is whenever a user does a new submission in Tally, I want to receive a message. Let me say in my account, and the text is new customer churned, and I will want to just provide just their email. So then I can basically go take a look at the result that at the result in Tally. And that's it. This is good enough for now. Continue, test action, and that's it. Everything went well. Ready to publish your app, and I will say publish. We are preparing your app to go live, and this is it. So you can now see that we have a completed workflow where whenever a given user goes through this flow and actually completes it, you will automatically get a message on Slack. All right, so now that we have the survey ready, let's take a look at what it would be like to review the answers. And reviewing the answers is one of the big problems of using a tool like Tally. And by the way, everywhere where we use Tally, we could use Typeform or any other equivalent. It's just that Tally is the one that allows us to have this entire setup for free. But if you already have a Typeform account, by all means, it's the same. Now, the problem with tools like Tally and Typeform for analyzing the results is that they're not done specifically for cancellation flows. And so, first of all, you don't really get visualizations on the data, so you can't really view a chart on this. The other thing that's also pretty hard to understand is even if we can identify the users based on their emails, for example, and you can associate them with the right company, you don't really know what the price is that they're paying, nor do you know what's the plan that they've selected and when did they start their subscription. And so that's where a lot of the value from a customer success perspective is. Essentially, you want to not only get data here, and so it's much better to have these versus not having anything, but the real value is in getting actual insights and analytics on the data for cancellations. And that's what the second option would allow you to do. Overall, this is a pretty solid option. Let's take a look at the method number 2. The second method is based on Raaft. The starting point is also the billing page of the application. When users click the cancel subscription button, they see a pop-up, which is the cancellation flow, instead of being redirected to an external page. Once users complete the cancellation flow, it then triggers the Zapier workflow, which then works the same as the first method. This method has two big differences versus the first one. It retains some users by making offers along the way before users cancel, and it keeps better track of the cancellation feedback with automated reporting. Let's set this up. Start by going to Raaft.io, and then when you're on a home page, click on Get Started for free. This will trigger you to create your free account. You'll have to put your name, your email, and your password. Then I just need to give a name to my company, and I'll just say test company, and I'll just keep my customer support email as this one. That's fine for now. I'll add the names of my plans, although I don't need to do this. Actually, I'll just skip this. This is not necessary. And then that's it. I'm all set. Let me get started. All right, so I'm under a free account, and what I'm gonna do now is edit the flows. So I'm gonna create a flow. I'm just gonna use this one, premium plan cancel flow, and I could rename it, but yeah, for the time being, I'm just gonna use this one. And so the first thing I'm gonna say is I'm gonna try to write a message to prevent them from canceling. So let me just say, we're sorry to see you go. And if you cancel your subscription, you'll lose access to unlimited features, first-class customer support, save reports, and the 50 gigabytes of cloud storage you currently have. All right, this is it. Seems pretty good to me. Next, I'm gonna ask for what are the cancellation reasons. Why are you going? Don't use it enough, missing features, too expensive, or need more support. Now, I would want them to use a blue for some reason. All right, let's do it. And then for each answer, I'm going to create a response. Now, under the paid plan, we can create custom responses, like offering them to change plans or pausing subscriptions or even apply coupons. But for the time being, it's enough to just link to custom page. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to redirect them to a Calendly account. Paste this link here. And the name that I'm going to give it is book a call. One of the tactics that's pretty common here is for people to offer a voucher for their opinion. So for example, what we could say is $50 voucher for your opinion. Yes or no thanks. And this is it. So this is the don't use it enough. For missing features, I would say we could even have a link to custom page. Again, I will just add the link to my calendar. But what we could do here is, for example, add a link to a roadmap. And here we can personalize the message and say, we'd love to hear what you're missing. Would you be open to sharing your feedback on a one-on-one call with our team? Yes. And again, no thanks. And too expensive here. What we could do is again link to a custom page, and again I will add a link to a Calendly account. But here what we would say is 50% off if you stay. The other thing you can do is offering a free month. Let's actually do that. Would you accept a free month? We can give you a month free if you share your feedback. And this is it. Last, need more support. Here what I would just do is link to custom page, and I'll say like, meet our support team. We're here for you. Would you speak to our team? We're sorry you faced issues. Please give us a chance to understand what those are and solve them for you. Book a call with our support team. And that's it. This is a very basic one. We would potentially give it a bit more thought, but for the first approach is not bad, and we value your feedback. If you don't mind, we'll know how we can make this product better. We read every answer. This is really useful. I like to make this a required field. I know this is a little bit of a trade-off between the risk of annoying users a little bit and getting more feedback. There are some users that when they are prompted to provide a bit more feedback, we'll actually write something meaningful. So I would actually suggest we keep this as on. And then what happens when a user cancels? This is the other thing that the premium plan would actually be useful, is it can automatically interact with the payment processor and therefore cancel it automatically. But for now, we can just keep the outcome of this flow as sending an email to customer support. So essentially, every time that someone would go through this flow, we would receive an email, and then we can set up the Zapier account as well. I don't need the acknowledgement checkbox, and that's it. Once this is done, come back anytime. You're not on a free plan, but you can resubscribe anytime you'd like to. Take care and return to dashboard. I think this is good enough. And for the flow itself, background color, this is fine. Font color, maybe I would go darker. Let's go with black. This is fine, and this is fine. And I would go with premium plan flow. I'm saving this, and this is it. So now the last step that's missing, and I can see that here on the dashboard, that's really the last step that's missing, is embedding the code. Right. First, we need to actually make this flow active. And by activate, I actually want to make this flow active. Remember, you need to embed the code in order for customers to view this flow. So I'll actually say activate flow, and then here in embed code, these are the steps that we would need to take to just activate the flow. And it's actually pretty simple. We just need to copy and paste these 3 steps, and choose what our programming language is and basically how we would write this. But it's actually relatively simple, 1, 2, and 3. And then once these steps are done, what we can do as well is we can go to this test flows page, and we can see which active flows are there, and we can basically preview what that would be like for users. So for example, if I had a user with an email test@user.com, I would go here to preview what this user would see, and let's say, we're sorry to see you go. Okay, understood. What's the reason why I'm leaving? And I would say it's too expensive. And then say, would you accept a free month? We value our business and would love to keep you as a customer. We can give you a free month if you share our feedback. If they say yes, they would automatically be redirected to a calendar. So they would be able to then book a call and claim their free month. If they say no, so actually this automatically closed, but let me just go through the other use case. If they say no, they would say, we value your feedback. I didn't think it was worth the money. And then that's it. Sorry to see you go. If you cancel a subscription, you lose access to these features. And that's it anyway. Cancel subscription. And that has been done. All right, so hopefully this gave you a quick rundown of the second method of the cancellation flow provided by Raaft. This is all for free. The good thing about Raaft is that once you start to get data, you can then view it under the reporting tab. The last step to set up this flow would be to connect it with Zapier. We can go to integrations, create an API key. I'll just call it a Zapier. Then I would click on Zapier to connect Zapier. We are automatically invited to use Raaft on Zapier. I would click accept invite and build a Zap. And that would be it. From this moment on, I would actually create a new Zap. And I would have available the Raaft account, which I can then set up. I can choose the event, and the event is basically any of the outcomes that are triggered by Raaft. So whether the user cancels, whether they leave at some point in the flow, or regardless of the outcome, I would connect the account, and then I would select the action. I'm not going to do this step again because you've already seen that in the first method, but it would essentially work exactly the same. Once you start to collect data, this is what your dashboard would look like. You start to see how many people churn per day, and you can select the time period which you want to filter by. And you can also have an overview of the churn reasons and the recent sessions. At the same time, you can also go to reporting and try to have some additional filtering into what flows you want to filter by and also what cancellation reasons. In this case, we don't actually have a lot of data. I just did a few test sessions with a very simple flow. But here you would see the churn reasons that we defined above, like missing features, too expensive, or whatever it may be. And also the individual sessions per subscriber and the feedback that they provided. This is then being set up automatically and tracked by default for you. This is it. This is a quick explanation of this second method, which would be 100% free. The big advantage here is that you get data that is automatically set up for you and that you can compare how it evolves on a month-by-month basis and also see the detail for each individual session to understand how that went. That's it. If you're struggling to get any of those steps set up for any of the two flows, let me know.